Hey, hello everyone. This is a little test for me. I'm using OBS to try and make a quick video on the vocoder for you. So hopefully it'll go fine. So let's talk about vocoders. There's a constraint on the second project. We're asking that one part of the audio logo includes the use of a vocoder. And so what I want to do is just explain the basic principle of the vocoder and hopefully give you some insight into how it works, so that you should be able to use or figure out how to work any vocoder that you come across to use, rather than learning the aspects of a specific vocoder. So in principle, the vocoder requires two audio signals. One is the sort of carrier and one is the modulator. One is used to provide pitch information and the other is used to provide articulation. I don't know if you remember the voice box that was used by guitarists in the 80s and 90s, where a plastic tube was put in front of the guitar amplifier to sort of bring in the sound up the tube, which you then put into your mouth. And so you got the sound of the electric guitar in your mouth area, and then you could talk, and this would use the pitch information from the electric guitar instead of your vocal cords, essentially. So you got this sort of strange talking guitar effect. Well, the vocoder does exactly the same thing digitally, essentially. We use two signals, one for pitch, one for articulation. So a vocoder would contain these elements, and it might contain both of those elements, but sometimes it looks to the outside world to have those elements delivered to it so it can do its vocoding thing. Sometimes a vocoder will include a MIDI synth, and this synth is used to generate the pitch tones for the vocoder. The way a vocoder works is it requires pretty simple pitch tones, nothing too complicated, so a simple synth is all it needs, and so many vocoders actually provide the synthesizer part for you. And then for the audio part, usually they're looking for audio to be fed into the vocoder from another audio track on your DAW as a sidechain, probably. So if let's have a look at how that is set up. I've got Ableton running up in the background here, so let me get rid of some of these extra pictures. Okay, now we can concentrate on Ableton. So here is Ableton. Let me get rid of this MIDI track and this audio track. So we've got one audio track, one MIDI track. I'm going to go to the arrange view because that's a little easier for me. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag in this pre-recorded little piece of audio, which is me saying Shoreline Community College.
Shoreline Community College.
Okay, there we go. So there's our audio source. Now what we need to do is put a vocoder on the MIDI track. So I'm going to come over here to my plugins, select plugins, go to VST, and here are my Reactor plugins, and I'm going to choose Reactor 6. And I think I've got Reactor. Oh, I've made a new track. I double-clicked and made a new track. In fact, I didn't want to do that. Let me delete this track, and I'm going to do this properly as I intended to do it, which is to take Reactor 6 and drag it onto this track. Sorry about that. Okay, so here we go. I want to play, and okay, so there's Reactor, and it looks like, because I've done this before, it's already chosen the vocoder for me. I'm going to hit the edit button here just to enlarge the Reactor screen, and I'll show you where the vocoder is. It's up here. If you go to player and then to the Reactor factory library, it's in effects, and it's I think number 3 or 4, classic vocoder. So you just drag that in here, and then make sure that this panel is highlighted as well, because I want to see the synth. So here is our synth, and here is the actual vocoder. I need to reselect one of these presets up here, so I'll select basic Vox 1, and that will populate the parameters correctly. All of these bands here represent the sort of frequency bins, which deals with the exchange. It exchanges all the energy that was in these frequency bins, from the original audio and substitute energy from the pitch stuff that we're going to introduce via the MIDI synth. Okay, so now I've got everything ready. I just need to make sure that my audio from here is sidechained into the reactor, and that we do down in this little panel here. If I pull out reactor, you can see the sidechain is no input. I'm just going to click here and select audio, which is the name of this track. So now I've got this audio sidechained into the reactor synth. Finally, we need some MIDI notes. So how do I put MIDI notes in? I just make a region here. I'm going to close this to get it out of the way for the moment, and then double click my region, and I'm going to put some notes in here. It doesn't, at the moment, it doesn't really matter what they are at all. So oops, let's put, it's only going over approximately one measure. So I'm just dragging, just creating some notes at random here. Normally what you do is that you make sure, obviously, that your pitch stuff is doing exactly what you want it to do, to work, so as it works sort of creatively with the audio that you've got. Okay, so there's my MIDI. And now if I turn off the monitoring from the audio track, because that I don't want to hear. So I turn that off, right? And now I'm just listening to the vocoder. Let's see if that's doing something.
Shoreline Community College.
There we go. You can hear it going Shoreline Community College. Let's run it one more time.
Shoreline Community College.
Okay, there we go. That's the vocoder. That's the vocoder working. I hope that explains a little bit, anyway, just how a typical vocoder works in terms of its process and general functionality. The details of the actual DSP process of vocoding is obviously far more complex, and if you're interested in that, just Google it. Just Google vocoder, and you'll find some sources about how the vocoder actually works. But most importantly is to know how to use it. And what you can do now, of course, is try different pitches with your notes. Try some different presets on the for the MIDI synth that's going into the vocoder. That will also give you some different effects. Okay, I hope this has helped you, and I hope I can make this little video work and get it posted. Thank you.